everybody, and welcome to the Adoptive Love podcast. My name is Alyssa, and I'm here with my mom, Heidi. And today we are here with Donna Pope, who is the founder and executive director of Heart to Heart Adoptions, who's been so kind as to just sit with us, chat with us about her adoption story, and just whatever else we kind of get into. So thank you so much, Donna. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me. I love meeting with both of you.
Yeah.
Alyssa and Heidi, mother and daughter. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah. It was difficult to get you on, I must say. So
I didn't know it would be hard.
you're a busy woman. I'll just say
Well,
that.
that's true. That's true.
Yes.
And I will tell you a little bit about what we're doing. One of the reasons I'm busy is because we went to India and we're working with a group of programmers in India that are helping us build a platform that will be designed to invite members of the adoption community onto that platform, both those who provide services as well as those who need services. And we're super excited about that. And that will be coming up. We hope, I hesitate to give a launch time, but we're hoping by the latter part of this year.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. So that your second meeting then, right? With them?
With me, it's mine. The second time I've been over to them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So you were talking about that before when we've talked about it. That's a huge undertaking for you. I remember
huge.
what it's all about. So
Yeah, that's a lot to even.
I
I can't even imagine all the moving pieces and stuff that goes into something like that.
There's going to be.
Well, we're calling it adoptions, community, and connections.
Mhm.
Because we want it to be, there's several aspects of it. One will be just kind of a Facebook type aspect where people come in and use it as a social gathering place, and they can chit chat with their friends. They can be in support groups with others that might match what they are. And so that will be one aspect of it. But then if they go on there and they have a purpose, for example, they want to find a counselor, they need someone to help them with their home study, there will be people that provide those services that will be on the platform. If they're trying to find adoptive families, if they're a birth parent trying to find adoptive families, they can go on there. Now, one of the things that we feel strongly about is that all of the members of the adoption triad, adoptive families, birth parents, adoptees, and children waiting to be adopted, are vulnerable populations.
Mm-hmm.
They're all vulnerable populations. And I've emphasized that. Because of that, they need to have someone that will represent them. So they may come onto the platform with their own counselor or their own attorney or their own agency that will represent them in trying to meet other people. So that's one of the things that we're hoping to do, is have everybody have someone, an advocate, an ally that supports them in their adoption journey. And we'll be inviting, anybody who provides services to adoptees, adoptive families, birth parents, and waiting children to be on there too.
Yeah, which will be amazing. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do though is I'm going to make you tell a little bit about your backstory and how you got into adoption and how it's personal to you.
Well, it's very personal to me because everybody's adoption is very personal. I did not get into adoption because that was my goal in life. It was not. I actually went to school for education. I went and taught at high school. And then I realized I was a very good high school teacher because I couldn't discipline. And then so I went and taught in higher ed. My main focus was physiology. That's what I did. And then I got training in medicine. I became a respiratory therapist. And then I went and did medical research in a disease called adult respiratory distress syndrome, which is a disease that is what caused people to die with COVID. And so I did that for a lot of years at one of the universities and hospitals here in this area. And while I was doing that, my sister wanted to adopt. She had adopted 2 children and then actually adopted a third and was looking around wanting to adopt a fourth. And I got to know your mom. I got to know your mom. And my sister actually adopted through your mom, William, cutest little boy. And then I worked with your mom in housing birth moms. And in the process of housing these birth moms, I came to know these women. Now, I don't want to categorize everybody into one big group because not everybody's in one group, but there are some characteristics that I came to love. And I could categorize that as the courage that it took to do something. I mean, think about it. If you think about it, here's a woman, she finds out that she's pregnant. Now, she may or may not have planned it. It may or may not be with somebody that she likes or wants to be with. But for whatever reason, she's feeling like she's not in a position to parent this child. So she makes a decision, and that decision is not to abort the child. Now, she may have not made the decision. It may have gotten too late. She may have missed the opportunity. Lots of reasons that she didn't. But for whatever reason, she now continues the pregnancy. And all that goes into, having a baby. She may have had a C-section, it may come vaginally, but she goes through everything that it takes to have this baby, to both sustain the baby through the pregnancy and then have the baby. And then she places that baby with someone else. That courage, that love, that commitment to that child is something I started to see. And I felt compelled by that to try to have a really good experience for them. And so we started an adoption agency kind of around that idea of making this a good experience for these women, which your mom does as well. And so that's what I did. And that was back in 1998. Now, in 1998, I was actually had one of these birth moms named Monica was living in my apartment, and she and I became pretty good friends. At the time, she was struggling with drug and had been a drug addict for some time, and we were not able to find a family that was open to a child. And but we were new, and now there are many families that would be open to a child. But she and I had become friends, and she asked me if I'd adopt him. And I thought a lot about it, prayed about it, and decided to adopt my oldest son. And he's now 27, 26 now. He's 26 years old. He's gone on his first big trip. He's going to Hawaii, and he's having a lot of fun. And I love him with all my heart. And but it's been a challenge. He has been a challenging, as all adoptions are. And then another birth mom approached me, and I adopted another child. And then she had another child that she couldn't raise, and she asked if I would help parent that child. So I've adopted 3 boys. Now they're 26, 24, and 21. And they are the joys and the challenges of my life.
They're definitely good at that.
Yeah, boys are definitely good at that.
Say that again.
Boys are good at being the challenges.
Oh yes, they are. But it's been a joy to be their mom. I've obviously adopted as a single mom, and that has been immensely challenging too. I don't necessarily recommend it to anybody who's thinking about it, particularly boys. But we have a very good relationship, and I feel good about that. But in the process, then we continue to develop the adoption agency. And we've been around now for about 27 years. And Kathy, your mom, your grandma, and I have become better and better friends as time has gone on, and have learned from each other. I think we've both taught each other things and feel very strongly about what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, that's for sure. In our family, it's a family thing that we do. So the older sisters that are married, what, 4 of us have adopted. So
it runs through the family. So
in ours. So
there are how many kids in your parents' family?
There's 10 of us.
10 of you. Wow.
10 of us. So 8 out of the 10 are adopted. I'm the oldest, and then Shannon, that's just below me, is biological, and then the rest are adopted. So we have Mindy and Kinsey, they're both Korean. And then we have who's after Jason and Jared are both biracial. And then we have Jacob, Jerem, Maya, and Kaylee are African American.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's fun, and it expands your heart.
yes.
As you learn how to love people that aren't just like you, that
Yeah.
you love them very much. And so
Yeah.
what's fun is, of course, now I'm an adoptive mom. I love birth moms and the struggles they go through. And I've become very, very fond of birth fathers.
Yeah.
Birth fathers are often kind of left out. But over the years, I've got to know and work with a number of birth fathers and see the struggles that they go through. And how tough a decision it is. I met with a guy yesterday. I went to a hospital, and he and his the mother of the child were there, and he looked so tired, and he was struggling so much. And he and I went down and saw the baby at the NICU, and he was so sweet with that little boy. But anxious for the adoptive family to come, and anxious for that little boy not to be alone, even
Yeah.
though he's still on the ventilator and stuff. But
Wow.
so the birth moms, the birth fathers, adoptive parents, and then you as an adoptee. So
Yeah.
now, of course, I know my boys and I know many of their thoughts, but how is it for you being an adoptee?
I mean, I don't know any different. I think I have like more of a unique experience than other adoptees since I've like kind of grown up, with grandma having the agency. I have so many aunts, uncles, cousins that are adopted. I think
Mhm.
that's just I've been fortunate enough to growing up knowing that everybody's family is formed differently.
Mhm.
Some through adoption, some biologically, but at the end of the day, it's just still your family.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
came through a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. In my family with the 4, I've got 4 adopted children, 2 girls and 2 boys. So, and it was my goal to make my kids the majority in our house.
Mhm.
So, because I knew that they would be the minority everywhere else that they would go in Utah.
Yeah.
So, when we shut the doors, I wanted them to know that they had the majority in our
Mhm.
home. And so, and the 2 girls are actual biological siblings. They're 10 and a half months
Mhm.
apart.
Mhm.
And then I don't know if my mom's told you the story about my youngest Zachary. His biological sister placed a son and a daughter, and I have
Mhm.
2 sisters. One got the little girl, and one got the little boy. So,
Oh, interesting.
so
Mhm.
they're my Zach's niece and nephew, but biologically he would be their uncle.
Yeah.
So both ways they're family.
Yeah.
So this whole idea of adoption, it creates these families that are multifaceted. Um, and sometimes that's hard for people to know exactly what to do with this
Yeah.
multifaceted arrangements. How have you guys, I'm curious how you guys have managed that.
Well, like she said, I don't honestly know if we know any other way. I mean, it just has been
Just
growing up.
so normalized.
I'm the oldest out of the 10, and we range. So I'm 54, and it goes down to Maya's 24, I think. So she's younger than my children, and so I think about all the time. I just see my siblings, so I don't see them as anything but that. Um, and people don't understand that. And I also say, because my kids are African American, and we've had this discussion with someone, who was it on our last one, the podcast? Because I've said I'm the one bad person that says I don't see color when I look at my children, and legitly I do see color. I know that there are different colors.
Yeah.
There are
You
different colors.
just don't
So
see that it has that there's
I
anything
I'm
different
not,
about
yeah,
it,
Yeah.
that's
any
the thing.
more that
I'm
taller
their
or shorter.
yeah, they're my child. That's what I'm looking at, not their skin tone. I'm looking at my child. And so when some people get offended if they hear you say that you don't see color, and that's why I'm like saying I get it. I know that they're treated differently. They're looked at differently. I'm not stupid or naive. I've raised this child, so I know exactly what goes along with it. And I don't have to live it like she has, but I've witnessed it. So
So how is it for you, Alyssa?
Um, just kind of the same. I mean, like I said, I've like kind of like grown up with it, so it's just been like so normalized to me. Like people, like whenever somebody else brings up like, oh, I'm adopted, like I didn't know, and I'm like, okay, yeah, so, like, is it that
Yes,
big
so
of a deal? Or like I just found out I was adopted, and to me, it's like, oh, okay, cool, me too. So I have like a completely like different like outlook of it than like some other people do because it has been so normalized to me. It's just like, oh yeah, that's just part of your whole deal. That's just part of who you are. That's just
yeah.
a
yeah.
little extra thing.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think that that's one thing the podcast has helped me see and witness is, well, for one, leaning more towards open adoption if it's feasible, because that's in the end, I think that's all we're doing is making an extension of family, right? So if we can keep the birth parents involved to a degree that the child, if ever wanted or needed to know anything, that they had that option because the birth parents are involved in some way or another, is great. It doesn't work all the time, and we don't have contact with any of their biological parents, only because back in the time, clothes was more. She looks really young, but she's 31. So I'm just saying.
I wouldn't have guessed
Yeah,
that. I wouldn't have guessed that.
I'm just going to throw it out there.
You do look young.
She looks amazing. Well, she told us the other day she was carded for a rated R movie. I'm like,
Oh,
Me and my friend, because she looks young too, like threw us off completely, and we're like, oh yeah, this movie's rated R. Okay.
yeah, I'm just like, that means they thought you were under
Yeah.
17.
that's so funny.
So and back then, I think the open adoptions were still making its way out of
Mhm.
the woodwork. So in her case, it was closed. With Kendra, her biological sister that we got, it was a little more open, but we still haven't been able to find out any information because the agency shut down. And so we had problems looking. I'm like, one benefit that they have, even though we haven't been able to find the biological birth parents, is that they can look at each other and know what a sibling would look
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
like.
There's a connection there.
So they already have that there. And then my youngest, Zachary, he always kind of wanted to know what his family looked like and stuff. But then once he got his biological sister placed the two kids within our family, so he knows what his niece and nephew look like, which is now his cousins.
Yeah.
Then he hasn't wanted. He's good with all the stuff too, not finding the biological parents, and I think that that's just individualized with each child too. That I've sat and asked each of them, going through the podcast. I'll have to go back. But me learning, because it's a learning process for everyone involved, right? And it's ever changing. And I want what's best for them and whatever that is. If they want to search out their biological family or not, I've got to get over my feelings of it and put theirs above that. And so
I'm curious what your feelings are.
what my feelings are.
That you feel like you need to get over.
Well, initially, there you do get the hurt. Why can't I be enough? Why do you need to look for your birth family. And I don't feel like that now. I would say that when I thought about it and I was probably 10, 15 years younger, it was an issue. Um, but now it's not, because it's not about me. So it has nothing to do with me. Um, she sees me as her mom, but if she wanted to see what, the biological parents look like, I'm fine with that. Um,
What if she wanted a relationship with them?
I'd still have to be fine with it.
Would
I would.
you want that if that opportunity came?
I think being fortunate enough to have my biological sister, like growing up with her, being raised with her, I think I'm okay that I don't need to seek out, the my biological family. Like I think it would be kind of cool to like see pictures and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I don't think I need that because I don't know these people. They just look like me.
It's been so interesting with the podcast. I've interviewed, a number of adoptees. And
Mhm.
it's interesting to hear their story because sometimes they didn't even really care until
Yeah,
they were like 40 and 50 years old.
yeah,
And then suddenly they wanted to. And a lot of times the parents had died by that time they
yeah,
finally did
yeah,
to.
yeah.
And I've asked them, why didn't you search before? And
Mhm.
Mhm.
there been one of the reasons is they didn't want to hurt their adoptive family.
Oh, so
Uh,
they waited till they
so
had
they
passed.
waited.
Yeah,
They waited, uh, and other times they didn't feel the need. They just didn't feel like they even cared.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Well, her sister Kendra, my second, she goes to counseling and everything, and I asked her straight up. I'm like, so do you talk a lot about your adoption? Being, going to counseling and stuff. Never brought it up, not one time.
Really interesting.
Right? I'm like, she discusses everything, but she's fine in that area. She's never
And you
had.
wonder if that will change because that's what I hear a
Yeah,
lot of
she
times is
would.
that
Yeah,
there's a change.
yeah. She's my one. She is autistic, and so usually if it bugs her, she's going to talk about it right away.
Mm,
she's
mhm.
she's not she's not quiet about that at
Mm-mm.
all. She'll just throw it out there. But so yeah, I mean, everything can change, and that's why I've told each of my kids, I'm like, you know, we're okay with whatever they want to do. We'll support them, in any of it. And I hope that they know that we mean that,
Yeah.
you know, true. I'm like staring, we mean that.
I know. I don't have a doubt that I have my full parents' support. Like they've supported me through everything.
If that's what, yeah, if you want that, I mean, totally, I'm there for that. If that's, and we've seen some adoptees come on that it's hugely important to them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That their being is like contingent on finding this birth parent so that they know completely who they are. And
Mhm.
everyone is different, what it is, what they need in the moment or in the future to move forward. And the thing is with adoption, I think adoptive parents just have to be okay with whatever that looks like for them. So with the adoptee, whether they want it or whether they don't, that we're here
Mhm.
to support them either way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how
Well,
about your boys?
my boys are kind of funny. They vary across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the, my oldest, as I mentioned, I was friends with his mom,
Yeah.
and uh, but after she placed him for adoption, she went back and had some struggles. She struggled in a lot of areas, and it took her a number of years to kind of get things back together. But she did. She
Yeah.
absolutely did. And she had an older son that's 4 years older than my son, and he was staying with her sister as she was going through some of the struggles she had. But then when she pulled it together, she was able to get him back, and start raising him. She went back, got a master's degree, and uh, now is just doing super well. We all have our struggles, but
Yeah.
she's doing super well. And when my son, and she and I stayed in contact throughout the years. And
Yeah.
when my son was 18, she called him. She called me and said, "Can I call him?" I said, "Of course, call him."
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
and she called me afterwards, and she was just crying. And I go, "Why are you crying?" She said, "It was just so wonderful." And I go, and so I was really curious how it was for him. So I
Yeah.
called. I said, "Well, what did he say?" And she goes, "He just kept going, 'I'm fine. I'm fine. Yeah, that's good.'" And so I called him and I said, "Well, how was it talking to her?" And he goes, "It's fine." I okay, whatever. And so for her, it was this big thing. For him, it wasn't such a big thing, but
Mhm.
at least overtly. Now, underneath, there's still a lot. Now, since then, as he's grown older, he went and spent Christmas with her and his brother, and he drives up there and visits them and stays with her when he's going through town, and texts with his brother all the time, and they've got a very nice relationship.
Yeah.
It's very good. And
Yeah.
people have asked, "Do you feel threatened by it?" And my thought is no. And
Yeah.
not at all. Not at all. I am thrilled. And you go, "Well, you're just making that." No, I really am. I am thrilled that he has someone else in his life that I more or less that I trust.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we're different, but
Mhm.
I have total confidence that she will guide him right, that
Yeah.
she will be a good influence on him. I have total confidence of that. Now, if
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way, then it might be a different story. But
Uh-huh.
I love that he has, and she kind of feels bad sometimes. She goes, "Well, he likes his brother better than me." I go, "Well, that's how they are."
Well,
Um,
it is.
but so that's been with my oldest son. Now, my second son, um, my second and third son have the same biological mom. Uh, this was probably a mistake on my part. Um, my second son was 4.5 years old when she came and stayed at our home, um, and brought me the younger son. He was 2 at the time. And
Mm.
so there was a 2.5 year difference. So it was not good. It really bothered my second son.
Mhm.
It confused him. This is my mom. I thought that was my mom. Now who's my mom? It was
Yeah.
confusing to him. Uh,
Mhm.
he did not see why she was there. It was not a good experience for him at all. Now it was for her, and it was kind of necessary, but I think that it was the wrong time of life for him to be introduced to another mom.
Yeah.
And now, and I think now we maintain a relationship for a lot of years, and then I haven't been able to find her. Now, she at the time indicated that she might be dying. Now, I don't know. She felt like she had cancer at the time. And so we worry that that might be the case. On the other hand, um, there was a man that reached out to me one time, and well, actually, it was a woman who was the wife to this man. And she said that he had done a DNA test, and in the DNA test, he was looking for his brother, and
Mhm.
he found a match of who he thought was his brother because it was a half uh, match, and
Mhm.
then he realized after a year or so that it wasn't his brother; it was his son,
Oh,
and
that's
he
great.
didn't know at all that he had a son.
Uh-huh.
So she reached out to me and told me the story, and I was thrilled. I was thrilled.
Your boys, then he was related to? One of the
Yeah,
boys?
it was my second son,
Okay,
and
he was the dad to your second son.
yeah, and so I mean, I was thrilled, and now cautious, and so I got to know them, and I got to know her, and I thought they were great people. And
Mhm.
and he had never had any children. And
Yeah.
so my heart went out to him. Oh, this is so exciting. You can meet, and I was thrilled for them. And so I went to my son and I told him the story, and he wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
He didn't want anything to do with him. And I kind of felt really bad. I thought, yeah, but honey, this is your dad, and this would be really fun, and he doesn't have any kids, and this might be a neat thing.
Mhm.
He didn't want anything to do with him.
Yeah.
And so I went back to him and I said, well, he doesn't want it, at least right now. Now he's
Yeah.
in his early 20s, and that may change in time. And I said, but let's maintain a relationship,
Yeah.
so that if it changes, then he will have that option for you and for him.
Yeah.
Because my heart goes out to this
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm genuinely sorry
Yeah.
that he didn't have the relation, because I love my son and he's amazing.
Yeah.
And I wish that he had that relationship. And then my youngest son, he's not really shown any interest at all. I found who I thought was his birth father, and
Mm.
I said, I could probably contact him if you want me to. And he said, no, he's at least at this point. And so many people, they go through different stages, and I hear this from adoptees all the time, that they
Yeah.
will go through different stages where it matters to them, it doesn't matter to them, it
Yeah.
matters to them, it doesn't matter to them. But
Yeah.
there was one story that I do want I like to share a little bit about, that. And when my oldest son, was about 8 years old, um, he was struggling, and I took him to a counselor, and the counselor said to me, "Why don't you step out and let me visit it with your son, and then I'll call you if we need you." And so I stepped out, and it wasn't 30 seconds till she called me and had me come back in. And I thought,
Mm.
well, what in the world did he say to her in
Yeah.
30 seconds that he didn't feel like he could say to me?
Yeah.
And you can imagine, the question was, why did my mom place me for adoption and not my older brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he needed to know the answer. And I had actually talked with his biological mom about how to address that and
Uh-huh.
how to address some of those issues. And by that point, she had cleaned up everything and was back with her son, um, and was doing really well. And
Mhm.
so it was hard for me to kind of share with him some of the struggles she had gone through that had led to the adoption, when now she was doing quite well.
Yeah.
Um, so that, but that's the story. I mean, that's his story.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good story or a bad story or a hard story or an easy story, that's the story.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing, is I just want to know what the real truth is. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that, Alyssa?
Um,
You know your story.
I know that my biological mother, she had issues with drug use and alcohol use. She used with both me and my sister. And I know that we have other siblings somewhere, and
Yeah.
that's kind of just about the gist of it that I know.
Yeah. Well, you had three brothers.
Yeah.
Um, Two were with her, one was not. And they were all supposed to be from the same biological father.
Mm.
So she ended up, after Kendra, she had her tubes tied because she had a stillborn and she had an abortion.
Mm.
So that just shows you how many pregnancies she had, and she was 26 years old.
Wow.
So it was
That's
all,
traumatic.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, very. Kendra and Alyssa both came really early. So her body, when she got to Kendra, just couldn't do it anymore. And so Kendra was delivered early. So they would have been just over a year apart, but because of Kendra coming early, they're just 10 and a half months apart.
Mm.
So both preemies, 3, 7, and 4, 10. So they were small little peanut heads. But
Yeah.
peanut heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just something I call them peanut heads. I don't know why. But so and that's the gist of what I was told about their mother. That's all that was given to us. And so I mean, like I said, I've reached out to the place that they were placed through because they were out of Texas and stuff, and it shut down, and nobody had record of anything. So
Well,
I don't
to
know
do
where
it
to go
for
from there.
adoption.com, we're hoping to this on this platform, we're hoping to develop a registration
Mm,
where people can register and probably hope to get a DNA, use DNA to connect people, and then use groups and counselors to try to manage the get-togethers, because sometimes the get-togethers can be great and sometimes they can be hard, but they're always complicated and emotional.
Yes, there's
So
no way around that. So it's going to be emotional. So you need to
It's
have,
good to have any extra support that you can have.
right,
yeah.
right. So anyway, the challenging part we have right now in the United States in general is that there's a lot of people have experienced trauma, and
Mhm.
we hear this trauma all the time, that adoptees have experienced trauma, birth mothers, adoptive family, everybody, and that is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. The challenge, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts, is that has become elevated so that that becomes more of the focus
Mhm.
rather than it being acknowledged as absolutely a part of it, and the growth and the development of all parties that are going through these things has not been emphasized in the same way. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think that, I mean, that's kind of why we have the podcasts going, right? Is to try to get more education. I think that people are playing on the bad parts of adoption, the ones that don't work out. You don't really hear any of the good stories that come out and how it has changed people's life or created bigger families. It's just a whole bunch of
A lot
negative
of
and it
negative.
naysayers and that drowns everybody else
Yeah,
out.
we even like get comments on like some of our like videos with people talking about their positive stories where people saying like, "Oh, well, it's not always like that. It's not always this beautiful whatever you guys are talking about." And yes, that is true, but there is always good where there is bad. It's not everything is just this bad, huge, awful thing.
Yeah.
Like everybody's story and experiences matter, not just the bad ones need to be talked about. The good ones need to be talked about too.
Yeah. It's like they discount the good ones and act like that's all that's being talked about when it's not true. Um, you get more of the naysayers that say that, adoption is trauma. It starts with trauma. I don't know. I kind of, I'm traumatized by the word trauma. I mean, if that can be a thing,
Well, then let's focus on that.
Yeah.
I am so trauma. It sets me off with
Trauma inside the
trauma.
trauma.
I do because it's just like I feel like people use
It's
that.
kind of just like a buzzword that gets people riled up, is the
Yeah,
word
yeah,
trauma. That's what it
trauma.
seems like to
So I'm tired of hearing the word traumatized because
me.
I'm over it because it's creating trauma in my life.
Well, there's trauma everywhere. Everything.
Yeah.
Birth is trauma.
And
Death is trauma.
that's the thing, though, right? Is that we
Everything.
all have trauma, whether you have a biological family or an adoptive family. You can have trauma everywhere, right?
Mhm.
It's just, it is what it is. It's life, and you move on, and we figure it out.
Life is traumatizing.
It is.
Well, you look at our war right now. There's a lot of trauma going on in the world right now.
We're
Yes,
all
There
going
is
through
a
it right
lot
now.
of trauma.
there is. Well, and it's just. I think it's overkill. They want to make everything so traumatizing. It's like that's what they want. They want it to be traumatizing. And it can be, but then it can't be. It's not so cut and dry. And that's what I think I get frustrated with, is that everyone wants it to be, to that's what I always tell about my kids, because my kids in school, I always had to fight for them to get IEPs, 501, whatever, right? And the school system always wants your kid to fit in this pretty cute little box with a bow on it.
And they don't.
And none of mine fit in that freaking box. I'm like, I can't use that box. Do you have different sizes somewhere or something? I'm like,
Got a different box.
does not work. And so that's what I think it is. Adoption is the same way. Life is that way. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's stories to tell are different. And we only benefit from talking about all the different stories, not just one specific. So, and that's kind of why I love the podcast, because I get to hear the different stories and the different things to help people, and to know that there's other people out there that feel the same way you do. Not everybody's looking for the trauma, that adoption causes. And
Yeah.
there are silver lines. And even for the birth moms, it's not we're ripping these birth moms out of this state to,
Yeah.
the adoption tourism thing. I'm like, just these terms are really traumatizing.
Yeah.
Well, then we're going to keep trying to focus on some of the positives, is what we're going to keep doing.
Yes.
We're just going to focus.
We can talk about the bad. I'm fine with that. It's just to think that it's all bad is where I have the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good and bad in everything, and we all know that life is not everybody's lives are the same. And to let people know that they're not alone in their journey, that there's people you can talk to. And you know we've seen good and we've seen the bad. I've heard both types of stories. And too, it's what you choose to focus on. I mean,
yeah, it is. So we're going to keep focusing on positive.
Yes.
We could talk more if you wanted to, but I don't know that it's necessary, about some of the laws that have been passed recently in Utah. I think that some of the laws, the intent behind the laws that have been passed in Utah is to try to make adoptions more transparent, try to make protect these vulnerable populations. They will create a little more work on adoption agencies, but nothing that we can't handle and nothing that we can't do. And I think adoption agencies kind of have this responsibility to be transparent, to be open, and to be willing to comply with what the public needs. And this seems to be part of what the public needs now. And I think that it's good for us to do that.
Yeah.
So the challenging part around the adoption laws that have been in process has been kind of the negativity. Stupid old adoption agencies, they're just out for the money, and stuff like that has been the negativity.
And lumping every adoption agency
And lumping everybody together. And every adoption agency has their struggles. Every one of us do the best we can. But we should and need to be held to a pretty high standard of how we use these funds that are given to us, and how we treat and care for these women that come to us. Those are all things that they're kind of a sacred responsibility, and people, probably have the right to check us out and
and see, and I have my views about that, because you're being very kind.
I'm being very kind.
Than I would choose to be. But the thing is that I do believe that agencies need to be, and to a degree we have to have our numbers out there, and we are held to a standard. The issue I have with the law is how it pertains mostly just to agencies and not to private adoptions and other aspects of the adoption arena in the state. So it's just going after agencies and not anyone else. So in my eyes, I think that if we're going to do it, it needs to be done across the board, as a whole. If anyone's doing any type of adoption stuff, work or whatever, everyone should be held to that same standard.
I
Is
have to suffer, you need to suffer with me. No.
Oh, if you want to say we're suffering,
No, but no, and I'm teasing about that because it is an element of if it's important to hold people accountable, it should be important to hold everybody accountable.
yes, and
In the
that's
same
all. Yeah,
in the same
and
way.
that's all I'm saying is that if we're going to watch out, because agencies, we don't take, and in my eyes, I don't think we take advantage. We're here to help, right? So we don't go into it thinking, oh, we're going to take advantage of this adoptive family or this birth parent. Um, I mean, especially I can speak for you, I think, and for this agency, it's a huge part of who we are as people. It's created my family. I mean, across the board. So we have a really personal attachment to adoption. I mean, it's a love that runs deep for me. And so we wouldn't want to hurt anyone involved in it or going into it. And I think that I would hope that everybody is the same way. And if we're all there to be supportive to these people that are trying to create their families or trying to give a child a better situation or that needs help, that we could all go by the same laws. We should be able to all have the same, have it be across state line. I mean, everybody has to do it.
Yeah.
Because the goal is to protect those people. And if the goal is to protect those people, then anyone in adoption, working in adoption, should be going by the same laws.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge we have is there's that old saying that you can't legislate compassion. And I think those of us who have been in it feel that compassion. And birth moms especially feel that.
Yeah.
They know if you care. They know. Adoptive families know if you care. Adoptees know if you care. They know. And I think that's where we go is how do you truly care and show that caring. And so that's what we're doing this podcast for.
That's why we are here.
Why we are here.
So people can know that we love you and we're there for the journey and the walk, right?
Yeah.
Been there, so we want to help. And it's not all negative and it's not all triggering. Well, some of it, the word can be in my case.
Well, you guys, thank you for having me on.
Thank
This
you.
has been quite
Yes,
with you.
we appreciate it. And I know you said that you wanted us to come on yours, but I think that this was kind of a back and forth, but we
can do both. You can share it on both.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I can send it to you.
All right, that would be great.
I'll just have Alyssa close us up, and then you have a great weekend, Donna. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Donna. And then where can people find you, your agency, any social media you want to put out there?
Yeah, we'll make sure that gets to you. I'm with Heart to Heart Adoption, so hearttoheartadoptions.com. I also have a podcast called Voices of Adoption. I actually have 4 of them: Voices of Adoption, Choosing Adoption, Adoption Utah, and Adoptions LDS Latter-day Saint Adoptions. So
Awesome.
those are all there. Those are podcasts that we have. and then watch for Adoptions Community and Connections when we finally get it launched. That'll be fun.
Yes. Check her out. We'll be sure to put all her info down below. And if any of you guys out there want to learn more about adoption, either visit her website, we'll put in below, or our website at www.activeloveadoptions.com.
Thank you, Donna. We appreciate it.